media. As consumers, we are bombarded by it at every turn, like the Incredible Hulk being bombarded by gamma rays. But what makes some media endure, while others are banished to the forgotten black hole of obscurity, never to be heard from again? Who or what decides this? Hetero life mates Steve and Yahel want to know, and they want to know now. This is Obscurity Now. And what's up, Obscurians? It's time for another episode of Obscurity Now, the show that takes a look at weird and almost forgotten pieces of media. Then we decide if they should be remembered for all of human history or tossed in the black void of obscurity, never to be heard from again. My name is Steve, and with me, he's known as the Puerto Rican Robocop.
It is I, Robo Policia.
You have to do it with the lifeless, dead robot voice. Or you could go with the
Robo
prime director.
Policia.
There.
Oh, man, I wonder what the Spanish dub of Robocop sounds like. Something I'm going to need to look into in my private personal time.
No. If you do look into it, you should definitely bring it to light on a future episode, because I think that would be hilarious. But listener, viewer, no, you're not seeing or hearing things. It's not Robovember, but we love Robocop so much, we thought we'd dip our toe back.
Yes, we
come on. Oh, you know you love it. What are you saying? We wanted to dip our toe back into the Roboverse and celebrate the holidays at the same time. And lucky for us, I stumbled across this episode of Robocop Alpha Commando, which is Season 1, Episode 18. Oh, Tannenbaum. Whoa, Tannenbaum. What a name. And let's see, we've got the chat stirring already. What's going on? Oh, more. Man, this guy does nothing but think of No Fear shirts in between episodes. I love it. Hello, Creative KB. Welcome.
Yep, Creative KB's Corner in the chat. For those that are only listening, you can join us live on Sundays, almost every Sunday. Usually we're like lately we've been kind of doing it between 2 and 3 p.m. Eastern.
11:30 Pacific.
We should settle on a time.
I think this is
make it easier for you, but you the listener need to cater to us.
Yeah. I think this will be a good time, but yeah, the last episode of the month will most likely be a pre-tape unless you and I can somehow figure out how to do it in real life. But we will discuss that off air. So have you ever watched an episode of Robocop Alpha Commando in your entire life?
No, I didn't even know this cartoon existed. And when you said that we're going to watch this, I assumed it was just another episode of the other Robocop cartoon that we covered during Robovember. And I ended up actually watching after I watched this Christmas one, I watched the first 2 episodes of
Alpha Commando or the original?
Yeah, of Alpha Commando. And the only reason and then I realized, oh my God, the first 3 episodes are like a big 3-parter episode, and I was like, I gotta move on with my life. You know? I can't watch 4 episodes of Robocop Alpha Commando in one day.
I love the commitment, though. I applaud you. The Obscuriverse applauds you.
Yeah. And I will say, at least based on those 2 episodes, those other 2 episodes, the tone is the same.
What? Wait, the same as the Christmas episode?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were...
obviously, it's not Christmas themed, but
yeah,
the first I just mean like the vibe, because this is like a quippy Robocop. He's cracking jokes left and right, throwing smiles your way.
I mean, you say jokes with quotation marks, right?
Oh, I thought you were going to love his jokes. They were very like dad joke-ish,
God.
Saturday morning kind of stuff. So I thought you would like the cheesiness of the jokes.
Well, we'll get into it. I mean, I prefer, if I have to have a quippy Robocop, I prefer the comic book version, which, of course, we also reviewed like an episode or 2 ago of Robocop Marvel Comics #1. But Are you ready to dive a little? Well, I guess I should answer my question. I had never seen an episode of RoboCop Alpha Commando as well, but I must have though, because I remember all of like the additional sort of Inspector Gadget stuff. Like you noticed how his like arm extends, like somehow RoboCop.
I was just gonna say,
Mhm.
it's very Inspector Gadget, which because like even to the point where like sometimes he'll say the name of like whatever, well, gadget is coming out of him.
Yeah,
Whatever,
yeah,
you know, like when he extends his arm. If he doesn't say it, some computer that's also inside RoboCop says it out loud.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I must have maybe caught like half an episode or something way back
Yeah,
when.
a lot of this looked familiar to me, so but I never watched an episode, so I'm assuming I probably just saw like commercials for it.
You know what it reminded me of, and I mean, I don't want to run the bumper yet because I don't want to lose our train of thought. But like, all right, so what comic book creator style do you think the sort of animation style reminds you of?
Based on RoboCop's grotesque body proportions, is it one Mr. R. Liefeld?
Don't say his name 3 times; he'll show up in the chat. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean,
I want to keep it anonymous. That's why I didn't use his first name.
R. Liefeld? No, no, no. They're going to figure that out. Let's call him Rob L. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, there we go.
No, especially the designs of the cop uniforms and like their haircut. Yeah, it totally reminded me of one R. Liefeld for sure. And
I mean, more so because it's like very 90s comic book kind of proportions. And you know, a lot of artists were doing that, and just Rob Liefeld just kind of epitomizes it, you know.
for sure. It reminded me of remember when we watched a G.I. Joe Extreme?
Yeah, I remember watching it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't really remember much about it other than I don't think I liked it.
No, no, it wasn't good at all. But just the animation style is all I'm saying. But
Yeah.
all right, you ready to dive a little deeper into RoboCop Alpha Commando?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Welcome to your feature presentation.
Alrighty. So, RoboCop Alpha Commando, Season 1, Episode 18. Oh, Tannenbaum. Whoa, Tannenbaum. Premiered October 15th, 1998. The series itself, it's just one season, 40 episodes. And here's a synopsis in case you've never watched an episode of RoboCop Alpha Commando. After being offline for 5 years, RoboCop is reactivated in 2030 to help a federal agency called Alpha Division fight a high-tech terrorist organization known as DARK, short for Directorate for Anarchy, Revenge, and Chaos.
Yeah, this is like a division headed up by Andrew Tate, which I found very surprising when I watched the first 2 episodes. Is Alpha Commandos?
Right, but I remember the people that GI Joe Extreme were going up against. They had like a ridiculous acronym as well. This was just the
I
era.
think they had chaos in their acronym too.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. And as previously stated, the specific episode we're watching is a Christmas-themed episode called Oh Tannenbaum, Whoa Tannenbaum. And here's a short synopsis for that. It's the Christmas season, and a series of thefts committed by robotic toys is rocking New Detroit. And this is directed by one Larry Houston, and the guy is basically a animation kind of legend. He worked on X-Men, the animated series, the 90s Fantastic Four cartoon, the 80s Karate Kid, and I saw he was the first African-American hired by Filmation Studios as a Saturday morning storyboard artist.
Oh. Wow. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and as for the writers, this was a little hard to figure out because basically IMDb and in the credits basically lists anyone who had ever written a
anyone who's ever wandered into the offices of RoboCop Alpha Commando, anyone who's ever read an Andrew Tate tweet is in the credits.
You there, janitor, get in here and write me an episode of Robocop Alpha Commando. It's like, but I don't know how to write. It doesn't matter. So basically, I just put the executive story editors, who are also the executive producers of Robocop Alpha Commando, Eric and Julia Luwald, and I'm pretty sure we've heard that name before because they worked on Mummies Alive, which we covered, I think, during October. They also worked on X-Men, the animated series, Gargoyles, Exo Squad, Darkwing Duck. So they have quite a legacy behind them in pretty awesome cartoons. And that's pretty much going to do it for me. I guess another sort of little fun fact is, like, this was the last the last cartoon done by MGM, because they had acquired the Robocop license after buying Orion. And yeah, that's going to do it. So who are some of the voice actors? Please be Frank Welker.
Surprisingly, Frank Welker did not make the cut.
I don't think they wanted to pay him.
Yeah, I agree. And unfortunately, the credits in RoboCop only tell you who played one of the... It only mentions what character was voiced by one of the actors, and the rest is just a list. And it's like that pretty much everywhere. So I'm just going to name a few people that were of note and a few voices that I recognized myself. So we do have Blue, and I'm going to butcher this name, even though it's really not that hard. Mankuma.
Yeah, they're good job.
Thank you. This guy, and again, another one of these guys whose face you will immediately recognize. He's been in a ton of things, but never like the leading guy. He's got mostly live action credits, but he does have quite a few voiceover animated credits as well. He's been in a ton of stuff. 2012, he was in the Final Cut, a bunch of things, and he's still going strong today.
But the most important one, and though he was absent from the episode we watched, he was in RoboCop, the TV series, as the sergeant.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Duh. Okay. Dale Wilson was, I can't remember who he was playing. I think he might have been playing the scientist that works for the cops. But anyways, this guy's been, again, in a ton of stuff, a lot of animated stuff. I know, like, we've covered other things that he's in. He comes up almost as often, I feel like, as Frank Welker. Then we've got Campbell Lane. I don't know who he played in this, but I just recognized him because he's another guy that's been in a bunch of stuff. That you just, never know his name. He's never billed, but yeah, he's been in like 100-something things.
He's a man with two last names.
Yes. And outside of I'm sorry, Dean Haglund was the other person I wanted to name besides the guy that plays RoboCop himself. So Dean Haglund, probably best known from the X-Files. He was Langley, and he was also in the spin-off show. So I think I think he was playing the scientist.
All right. The scientist's name is Newmeyer.
Yes. Who's named after one of the creators of RoboCop.
Thank you for picking that up. Yes, as is the partner here, Nancy. Yeah.
Yeah, see? Yeah, you're not the only one with some robo-facts.
I'm robo-amazed.
Then we've got David Sobolov, who is credited as playing the voice of RoboCop. He has done a lot of voiceover stuff, some live-action stuff, too, a lot of Transformers stuff. But Steven, most importantly, this man was in what's going on? 3, hold on, I got to start over. So he's been in 5 different Star Trek productions.
Wow.
Star Trek Discovery, Star Trek Into Darkness, Star Trek Online. He played a few characters in that video game. Star Trek Enterprise. Actually, it was just those 3 things. But yeah, we finally got a Star Trek connection. I feel like we've been on a bit of a dry run.
It has been a while, so here it comes.
Oh no! We've just entered another Star Trek connection.
I know how that bumper really gets your your boil running, your blood running.
It really gets my Sobolovin. But this guy, David Sobolov, man, have you seen a picture of him?
I'm looking at it right now.
His head is gigantic.
He looks like Thanos or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. The skull on this man. Anyways, I just thought I should shame him for something he has no control over whatsoever.
His skull will rule us all. Watch out.
Anyways, shall we get into Robocop potentially saving Christmas?
Yes, there is one name that we have to reference. I have no idea what he does. There isn't even a picture for him. Long John Baldry. I hear he was the fluffer on Robocop Alpha Commando. Yeah, he had to keep old Sobolov's loft a Sobol. If you get my drift, and I think you do. Oh, wow.
Yeah, that guy did a bunch of animated stuff.
Okay. Why is he Long John Baldry, though?
I don't know, but I will say his second credit is called The Chastity Belt. So I don't know what that's about.
Checking my Cinemax database.
And he must have been young because he plays a character named Little John. So he wasn't quite a Long John.
I hear he's going to die real soon because he's really tall, this Long John Baldry.
Well, Steve, I am concerned about you with your height.
Look what I did.
I can't help it, Steve. I can't help that shorter people. There was a study conducted with millions of points of. It actually looked at millions of deaths, and I can't. It's just the facts, baby. Statistically speaking, I will outlive you.
Yeah, we'll see it. We'll see about that. I think, if anything,
sounds like I'll see about
what's going to do you in is your overconsumption of alcohol. I think.
Man, I've cut way back.
Oh, have you? Well,
yeah.
Those were the days. All right. Well, let's
just get high now.
I mean, it is the preferred way of altering one's consciousness.
Yeah. We do have, before we get started, I do want to say hello to Paisley Boxers in the chat. So this is just the right topic for a Sunday. Sure.
Yeah. Make sure you tell your pastor all about it.
Especially if your pastor is part machine.
Yeah. Oh, man, that'd be so awesome. I'd show up to church every Sunday.
Robo-pastor?
Yeah. All rise. Let's say the Lord's Prayer. I don't know. I'm kind of... What's up?
Creative Cavey had mentioned in the chat that he was hoping that this was like a Robo Beach Baywatch ripoff cartoon, and it got me thinking, like, how awesome would it have been if RoboCop would have been in a Baywatch Nights episode, since they were doing like RoboCop crossovers with other stuff at the time.
Right. Or like, no, all right, let's say how they would actually do it. I mean, since it's Baywatch Nights' second season and they probably have like half the budget, they're just going to make up their own version. It'll be like Super Force, or like Mitch would just be like, oh no, it's Robo Guy, because they don't want to pay the rights. like
Mitch for those that don't know, is David Hasselhoff's character in Baywatch. Like maybe Mitch. What's the little like floaty thing that they have? The little orange floaty thing.
I know what you're talking about. I don't know the right
like
term.
The life preserver or whatever.
Yeah.
Like he gets hit by an errant life preserver, and now he's got to become like part machine.
Oh, of course, Mitch would have to be the RoboCop stand-in.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Of course.
Yeah, Robo Mitch. Oh man. And then they could bring back Sean to be his Robo sidekick. Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, and like it would be like an awful like pun title, like Batteries Not Included or something would be the name of the episode. Anyways.
Robo Lifeguard. Oh man, this is going into a TikTok for sure. All right.
Yeah, edit this out, 'cause this is going to be a pitch.
Yeah, don't steal our ideas, people. Especially
we're going straight to Tubi with this one.
Yeah, I don't want any other YouTube channels stealing our ideas either. Wink, wink. All right, so here we go. All right, the most important thing we need to talk about, Yahel, before we get into the episode is the RoboCop theme starts off. And, I don't want to put you on the spot or anything. Are there any lyrics that you can remember from the opening?
Oh, yeah. I remember all the lyrics, actually, to this song.
Oh,
it starts off with RoboCop, and it says RoboCop about, 58 times before there's a random, oh, yeah. Like it's thrown in there for some reason. Like I was like, is there a Twix commercial or whatever playing in the background? What's
It's
going
Ferris
on?
Bueller. He's showing up, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Like it's one random oh yeah,
Yeah.
and then it just keeps saying like singing RoboCop
Over
like
and over again, like a chorus is basically singing
yeah,
RoboCop.
I feel like they were gonna add lyrics and this was just placeholder melody, and then but they were like, fuck it, just go with this.
Well, this is how I see it going. Like, so they have all the RoboCops in there. They have the chorus, and like one of the I don't know producers comes in and it's like, this is pretty good, but it needs a little edge. And then one guy's like, oh, I got it. Oh yeah. Like, oh, print it. It's good to go.
It's so 90s.
Yeah, well,
by the way, I love that in the Obscuritron, for those that are watching, that you included a little frame of when RoboCop is wearing the giant like snowman outfit.
Oh yeah, gosh, that was
so ridiculous.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but I will say I like the before the chorus kicks in, and even when the chorus kicks in, I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. I like the opening. Like, there's a pretty cool bass line at the beginning. However, did it make you think of the 90s Iron Man cartoon? I don't know if you ever watched that. Like, because in the very beginning they show like someone like hammering RoboCop's armor out or something like that. Like, did it make
Yeah, kind of. It was pretty similar to that. The theme, I will say, it's like it's not bad, but it's not very memorable either.
No.
And I don't know. It's very safe. It's very 90s.
Yes.
It's fine.
I wonder if the same person who wrote the Ultra Force theme wrote this RoboCop theme. Because remember, that one just says Ultra Force over and over again. But there's no oh yeah, and that's why they failed. All right. So yeah, the theme starts, whatever. All right, it ends, and now we are looking at Old Detroit, an exterior shot of Old Detroit, and it's snowing. There are some floating droids flying by, and they're basically... Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, they're like giant blimps that have like giant screens, and it's nonstop advertising in the air, and it's very loud, very obnoxious. And I thought, like, man, this really does feel prophetic in a way, because there's like I'm not one of those people that like constantly complains about ads, especially for like free content, because it's like, you know, something's got to pay the bills.
Right.
So I don't really mind there being some ads for paid content by any means, but like ads lately, like on websites, have gotten like crazy out of control.
Oh yeah,
and
especially on. I know you pay for a YouTube subscription, but trying to watch a 10-minute YouTube video on a Roku TV, it feels like it takes forever. There's like a commercial every like 5 minutes or 2 minutes. It feels like.
I mean, I will say that, I mean, you can blame the video creator for that, because they can choose like where those mid-roll ads pop in. They don't really have any control about the front and last ads, but yeah, the mid-roll ads, if it's a monetized channel, I mean, you can control that. So
sure, yeah.
But I mean, but there are like a lot of, you know, channels that are abusing that and popping in, you know, every couple of minutes. I think, but anyways, it just kind of made me think about that, and I was like happy that at least this cartoon did lean into a little bit of the satirical commentary of the movies.
And that is like pretty much the most you're gonna get of that here in the opening. It's also it reminds me of like any Marvel 2099 comic book that you may have read in the early 90s.
Yeah. Especially the look.
Oh, absolutely. So the funny thing is that there's actually a reason for them showing these things. It serves two purposes, like as Yahel said, to like sort of set the tone of the sort of satirical, like over commercialized future. But they also show up later. We'll get to them in a second. So yeah, there's your typical annoying, like floating looking R2-D2 guy. And then there's a blimp showing a perfume ad, which really doesn't... It's just to tell you that there's a department store nearby. And then there's...
the perfume ad was kind of funny though.
It
like
was.
The perfume ad was like, oh, this will bring out the animal in your lady.
Yeah, I bet you like that. And And then there's a giant floating Santa's sleigh that once again advertises this department store. And now we're inside Robo's squad car, and Robocop's partner is driving. Her name is Nancy Miner, named as Yahel said earlier, named after one of Robocop's creators. And she is raging at traffic, basically. And then we get Quippy Robocop. I mean, basically, he just talks like a regular person, just with a robot voice now.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
And Robocop thinks he's hilarious.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the writers think they're hilarious. But yeah, I mean, right off the bat, I'm just like, wow, Robocop is talking way too much. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it was definitely a little weird. Robocop is like right off the bat, he makes some joke about because she's complaining. What's her name again? The detective's
Nancy.
name? Nancy. Nancy is complaining about like the traffic because there's so many people doing Christmas shopping late or whatever. And he's like, oh, and then Robocop's like, oh, you mean like you?
Yeah.
Because like,
Right.
So right off the bat, like the first or second thing he says is like a little quip, a little joke or whatever. I was like, oh, this is going to be the quippiest Robocop, because every Robocop thing that we've watched or read since November, he's progressively gotten like quippier.
Yeah, absolutely. My question for you here is who should be driving? Because like Nancy is driving, and obviously she's getting very upset. Like, shouldn't the $1 million cyborg who's like, programmed to do everything perfectly, shouldn't he be driving?
I don't know. Well, maybe she likes to. Well, if they come across some crime, this will allow Robocop to get out the car faster.
All right. I'll take it. So now we're inside the department store. The manager is complaining that the elevators aren't working and that all the customers are getting robbed. There was a shopper. I guess you could just call her like Karen 2099. She assaults the Sarge, and everyone's like perfectly okay with it, basically. And I mean, yeah, basically that whole scene is just to show that there's chaos at the department store. Right. I don't think there's really anything else to mention from that scene. Can you think of anything?
No, that's pretty much it.
All right, and then now we're at the, every RoboCop incarnation has a RoboLab scene, and we are at that, and Newmeyer is there and Nancy, and basically they're just talking about like what they're gonna have to go do, and at one point RoboCop is reading a paper file, and that just like killed me, because I'm just like, when has RoboCop ever read anything like with his eyes? Like I hated it. What do you think?
I mean, I don't know. I didn't really mind, but you obviously you have a little bit more affection for RoboCop as a character than I do, anyways. Mm-hmm. You're a little bit more serious about your Robo fandom. Mm-hmm. And this is like a kids cartoon, so I was like, this is fine. I didn't really mind that much.
But the other one was a kids cartoon also, Yahel, and he acted more the way RoboCop is supposed to act in that one.
I know, and I almost feel like this is the better way to go for the kids cartoon, because like it was like the other cartoon that we watched, which was an earlier, for those that aren't aware, it was an earlier RoboCop cartoon. It was like kind of trying to have it both ways in a way at times, where this RoboCop cartoon, it really doesn't take itself seriously at all.
No, definitely not. Yeah, so where are we here? Basically, the sergeant tells Robo and Nancy they have to go undercover. First, we've got Sasquatch in Time has joined the chat. Thanks for showing up, old Sashy. I don't know if you want to be called that or not, but there you go, the Satch Man. So yeah, they're basically being told by Sarge that
I call him the Quatch.
The Quatch. Ah, that's way worse. What
See,
the hell's a
terrible.
Quatch anyway?
I'm sorry.
So Sarge tells RoboCop and Nancy they have to go undercover at the mall to figure out who's robbing all the customers because obviously that is the most important thing going on in New Detroit City, like people getting robbed. If that was going on over here in California, you know who they would send? Nobody, because that's who they've been sending lately. I don't know if you've heard, but they've yeah. Anyway. So, cut to, we're back at the mall. RoboCop is dressed as a snowman, and Nancy is basically...
Well, because they were like, before that, they were like, oh, well, we're going to go to the mall and be inconspicuous.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, well, RoboCop, how are you going to, like, not be noticed? You know, you're RoboCop. And he goes, don't worry, leave it to me. And
you're RoboCop.
So this implies that RoboCop, like, already, because he's huge. He is, like... way wider than any human being that's ever been created.
Right.
So this implies that RoboCop already had this like snowman costume somewhere, ready to go.
This is my secret fetish, Nancy, to be a...
Yeah, instead of a furry, he's a snowy.
I was going to say a snowmosexual, but
okay, yeah, that works too.
Either or. So... someone steals Nancy's shopping bag, and I guess it's got like a tracker in it or something. RoboCop leaps into action, and he's like, I almost have you. I've got you. And he grabs Grandma, and then he like grabs the bag from Grandma, and inside it is an elf, basically. You know, your typical Santa's elf. And he squirts RoboCop with, I guess, oil or ink on his visor. And
let's hope.
Yeah. And then RoboCop then follows him to like a different area of the mall. And there's...
Oh, you forgot that RoboCop pushes like a button and like this voice, which is, I think, the first time we hear the computer within RoboCop says, windshield wipers activate, something like that. And like these little like wipers like wipe away like the oil from his visor, which I was just like, oh god, this is kind of like the first hint, I think, at the Inspector Gadgetness. Or there might have been something earlier, actually.
Right.
But
so I definitely felt that as well. I don't know, for some reason it didn't surprise me, I guess, since I had seen half an episode however many years ago. So he follows him into a gang of elves who attack him. So if you've ever wanted to see RoboCop fight some Christmas elves, this is where you get it. And I could tell like the writer.
And they're like robot elves or something.
Yeah. And I could tell the writers were just having some fun with this one, snickering as they probably wrote it out. But Robo throws each and every elf against the wall, and they sort of just stop working, I guess. But then, I can't remember if this happens. I guess he gets to like one last one, and the elf like points to all the kids watching RoboCop like smash all of Santa's elves against the wall. And that was kind of funny. It was very reminiscent of the Roddy Piper episode that we reviewed, don't you think?
Yeah. I agree. And at some point, I don't know if it's here or not, but RoboCop says something like, oh great, I'm the RoboCop that destroyed Christmas or something.
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
I wrote that down. It's that line, I will admit, is pretty funny.
Well, and then after this, like they end up, while you're looking for that line, they end up back at the station in the lab, and they're talking about the robotic elves, and RoboCop says, and I'm assuming this is meant to be a joke since he very easily took care of them. He says, I almost died fighting those things.
Yeah. I don't know. See, it's stuff like that I don't know. I feel like maybe they think, see, they turned RoboCop into a joke. Like, that's what I don't like. But maybe I'm just being too critical. Anyway, we'll talk about it at the end. So where were we? All right. Robo makes store manager, makes the lab guys open it, and so Sergeant calls for Robo and Nancy. RoboCop says that the store's footage has been edited, and they go to leave, but then there's so Robo and Nancy go to leave to go talk to the sergeant, but there's a giant present on the doorstep of the lab, and they open it, and Newmeyer, he opens it, and it's this woman whose name is Shyvana, who I guess is a regular villain from the show. She gets out and kisses Newmeyer, the lab tech, and says that she was released from prison on good behavior. What do you think about Shyvana's voice?
I actually really liked the voice acting for Shyvana.
What?
And also she implies, she's like, oh, I got out for early for good behavior, if you know what I mean. And I want to show you how good I can be. She says something like that, implying she was like banging the cops.
Oh, yes. Shyvana is a very sexually charged individual, as we're going to see.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually really liked the performance of the voice actor for her.
I mean, it grated on me for a while, but I guess for a villain, it's like not the worst thing in the world.
It's kind of supposed to be.
Sure. She's supposed to be like, I don't know, an annoying, like nerdy woman villain, I guess. And I'd say pulls it off quite well. She also looks to me suspiciously like Janine from the real Ghostbusters. Do you think they kind of look alike?
Yeah, I got that too. Yeah.
Right. Glad I'm not the only one. Yeah, so now we're at the mall, and of course there's chaos all in the mall. Robocop asks the store manager who made the elf dolls, and he says it's the same company who installed their security system. And yeah, this is when Robocop says, oh, actually, I think this is different than the one you were quoting. Robocop goes, back to my new job, public destroyer of Christmas.
That's the line. That's the line.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I will admit, that is funny. Like,
that was pretty funny.
And so I guess some more chaos erupts. There's a robot deer that runs amok. And then we get to see more of Inspector Gadget Robocop here as he shoots a lasso out of his wrists and hog ties the robot deer. What do you think about Robocop and his cowboy shit here?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I think it's just the writers like trying to have some fun by putting Robocop in like these weird, wacky situations with Christmas crap. But I mean, it's fine. There's some quip he makes too about the deer that I can't remember. That wasn't as funny, but.
So meanwhile, Shyvana continues to sexually harass Newmeyer back at the Robo Lab. She looks on a computer and sees that Robo has locked in on the deer's signal. Did I get something wrong here? I guess like the deer has led him to the...
Yeah, Robocop says something to the deer where he's like, oh, I need your something processor for something else. So there is something he got from the deer so that they'd then be able to like track down.
Right, so basically the deer's like make and model. And that leads Robocop to the lab where these things were made. But meanwhile, gosh, Shyvana just turns into like an apex predator here. She sends Newmeyer to go do something, and previously he had brought out cocoa for them. She drugs his cocoa, then he drinks it and faints. And, as they cut away, I mean, we just have to assume that she just took advantage. It was the implication.
That's the implication. 100% the implication.
Why is that okay in 1998? Oh, my God. Oh, man.
She's been in prison for a while, man. She's got her needs.
She's wanted some of that new Newmeyer, if you know what I'm saying. So Shyvana then reveals a bomb in a pie, and then Robocop and Nancy go to the factory where the elves were made. They see Shyvana and Newmeyer is tied up. It's your basic sort of villain versus hero scenario. She turns on the lights and sends the elves after Nancy and Robocop. Nancy then goads Shyvana to basically monologue her plan so Robocop can record her, which, man, they've
Yeah, RoboCop makes a joke. Well, I think she just starts monologuing it,
Mhm.
and RoboCop's like, "Oh, enter record, confession
Yeah.
like villain's confession phase or something like that." Like he makes a joke about the trope,
Hmm. For sure.
which I appreciated actually.
And yeah, basically, oh, well, what I want to know from you, can you explain to me? I mean, I've got it all written down here, so I know it. Can you explain to me Shavana's plan that she then monologues?
I don't even remember what the plan was exactly. What wasn't it like that they were I do remember. So basically, online shopping is on the decline, is what's happening.
Yes, yes.
And so her plan, I guess she was hired by some evil online shopping companies, and the plan is to make shopping in person so chaotic, so stressful that people just go back to online shopping. So I guess Jeff Bezos is like the real villain here.
Right? Man, this was the most convoluted plan I've ever heard. Almost, maybe not ever, but I was like, wow, that's so. Man, you're like, you go to start at A, end up at C to get back to B. It's
But you know what? Much like the crazy advertising in the beginning that
hmm.
we were talking about, I kind of liked it poking fun at capitalism,
Sure.
and it felt like something. It is convoluted and it is nonsensical as most Saturday morning kids cartoon villain plots tend to be. But I like that it was in the vein of that satirical commentary that you'd see in the RoboCop movie. So I'll give him that.
I agree with you. I just think it's odd that they would assume that in the future online shopping would be down when it's only gonna get better and better as time goes on. But
Well, Steve, this show takes place in 2030, so we don't know. This could be a window into our future.
wow, and what is that? A whole like 7 years away? You think we're gonna have a?
Yeah, maybe like shopping in person will make a comeback. It's like what's old is new.
Well, I mean, I would say there's still plenty of shopping around here, but this is a major city. I mean, in my mom's small town, like their mall is not doing that great. But anyway, so RoboCop and Nancy, they basically unload on these robotic elves. And then a robot snowman throws snow at RoboCop, and RoboCop melts him with a flamethrower, basically.
Yeah,
Kind of funny. I don't know. Very, very cartoony. Shavana takes
way
yeah,
overkill.
yeah, for sure. I mean, which of course we all know that's like RoboCop's MO all the way from RoboCop 1. I mean, at least he didn't shoot the
Yeah,
snowman in the dick. Like, I mean, that was always a
right.
possibility. Shavana takes Newmeyer to the roof. Robo and Nancy follow. RoboCop jumps through a window. Like, that was weird. What did you think about that? Where and like Nancy,
Yeah, no, I agree. It was weird, but not as weird as the way that they catch up to Siobhan in a
yeah.
second.
So Shavana threatens to throw Newmeyer off the roof, but he wins her over by saying he's an outcast too, and that he actually loves her. What an odd relationship, but whatever.
And I can't remember if you mentioned it, Steve, but Siobhan, one of the things that she was in prison for was trying to kill RoboCop and this doctor guy that she's like in
Right,
love
but
with.
Newmeyer's so desperate, he's okay with it. He was
Yeah, he says, "I forgive you." By the way, isn't it a little weird that they took the two characters named after the creators of RoboCop and had them hook up?
wow. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're poking fun at Ed Newmeyer and the I can't remember what Miner is for Mr. Miner. Yeah, maybe they're just really really good friends. I don't know. So yeah, basically he wins her over, or at least distracts her by saying he loves her. Then Shavana calls. She's got like a remote control or something. The floating droid that we saw from the beginning of the the TV show. So there you go. The old Chekhov's gun is back in effect. And Robo then uses his cable arm to grab a ride on the Santa droid that they showed at the beginning of the show. Then the two droids battle it out. Were you getting BattleBots vibes from this scene? Because I was.
I wasn't, but I could definitely see how you could.
I feel like they were.
And by the way, the advertising sleigh was so big because like once RoboCop and Nancy end up like on the advertising sleigh blimp thing, they are basically like, what would you say, like a fifth or a fourth, maybe like a sixth the size of it. It's basically like the size of a 2-story house,
right? Or almost like mech, like Robotech or Gundam. Maybe not Gundam size.
Yeah, it was so weird.
Because at the beginning we didn't have anything to judge its size from because they're just floating around in front of skyscrapers and stuff. So yeah, I thought they were much smaller at first, and then when they got on there, I was like, whoa. Oh, that is a big like robot, like Santa droid, like basically. So they turned. I don't know. RoboCop says something that made me feel like he was Ned Flanders for a second. But anyway, both droids crash into the department store. Robo turns Shyvana over to the other cops. And I don't know, there's some sort of quip from Nancy at the end about shopping or the holidays or something. And they pretty much walk out into the sunset, and that is it. Anything else to add on the ending there?
No, I mean, you pretty much hit it. There's not a lot to the story. So yeah, that's pretty much the end of the episode. I don't know. I'm ready to render it.
Oh, wow. Okay then, here we go.
Remembered or obliterated? That is the question.
All right. Robo Velazquez. What is it? Robo Policia Velazquez. Do you think
yes,
that Robocop Alpha Commando Season 1, Episode 18, Oh Tannenbaum, Whoa Tannenbaum, should be remembered for all of human history, or tossed in the black hole of obscurity, never to be heard from again?
So I didn't really have high expectations from this, and I ended up, like I said at the beginning of the show, I ended up watching 2 more episodes. This is so stupid. The show is so dumb that I actually enjoyed it. And I'm actually going to give it a remember, believe it or not.
Wow.
I see the disgust on your face, or the robo disgust on your face.
You shortists are always liking crap like Robocop Alpha Commando. Well, as a member of the tall elite, like Robocop himself, I don't know. Like, yeah, I didn't like it. Like the tone was too cartoony. I prefer the tone of the original cartoon, which felt more like the like the movies. This to me felt like Disney's like MCU, basically, like too much comedy. And I like the over the topness of the original cartoon, and this has that, but maybe in more of like a Looney Tunes kind of Inspector Gadget sort of way. It's not the worst thing in the world, but I think it deserves like a positive stalemate. So yeah, I'm gonna say that maybe not obliterated, but here we go, stalemate.
This just in, those pathetic podcasters known as Obscurity Now have once again rendered a verdict of no contest. That's right, a stalemate. They've wasted everyone's time. They are just as lazy as Congress and twice as corrupt. Boo, I say, tar and feather 'em. Get out the guillotine. Boo to stalemate, and boo to Obscurity Now.
All right, and that is Robocop Alpha Commando. I think this was the only piece of Robocop media that didn't get a remembered.
Really?
Yeah, if I remember correctly. I mean, because we loved Prime Directives. We both liked the TV show and the comic, and their other cartoon as well. So yeah.
Oh, for some reason I thought I didn't like the other cartoon, but well, I guess I'm a bigger RoboCop fan than you are. I'm more accepting of RoboCop in all his forms.
So you're a full-on robosexual, is what you're saying.
Sure.
So I don't know. Do you want to talk about something else, or should we get out of here?
I mean, I think we can get out of here.
Well,
but I do want to.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, you want to talk about something? Okay,
Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
I want to talk about Black Adam. It showed. You have Netflix, right?
What a timely topic.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, people are free to watch movies, especially failed blockbusters, whenever they feel like it. And it happened to show up on Netflix, and there was just nothing to watch, basically. So I put it on, and it works it's actually a backdoor Justice Society movie. Did you know that? Did you know the Justice Society was in there?
No, I haven't watched it. I did see that it came up on Netflix, and I almost put it on because I'm morbidly curious about the movie.
It's surprisingly fun. It's really over the top, sort of pulpy. It reminds me of like a DuckTales episode because it takes place in. Hold on, let me.
That's how they should have advertised it.
Well,
Black Adam starring The Rock. It'll remind you of DuckTales.
Well, see, the problem is, all right, The Rock got in there with his are and it had to be all about him. I mean, nobody knows about Black Adam or the Justice Society, but the Justice Society are the heroes in this, basically. And they've got Hawkman in there, Dr. Fate, played by Pierce Brosnan, friend of the show, who, even though he doesn't know it, well, the rest of the Justice Society suck, but those guys were great. And anyway, it reminds me of a DuckTales episode because they go to this, foreign city with a made-up name that doesn't actually exist, and basically get into a wacky adventure. There's like a treasure that they find, and I don't know. I would be interested in your thoughts. I think. Is anyone in the chat watched Black Adam? I'm just curious if I'm the only one in the world who actually liked it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't actually. I think you're the only person I know that has watched it, or at least admitted to it.
Well, the problem is that The Rock was kind of the worst thing about it. He's trying to be all stoic and stuff, and then it ends up just really being kind of boring. But the rest, everybody else is hamming it up real nice. I think it'll sit real nicely on your palate. You'll savor the pulpy cheesiness of it all.
Yeah, well, I do like it when Pierce Brosnan hams it up. So maybe I'll check it out. But I think what made me not watch it is I think it was 2.5 hours long or something like that. I was like,
oh yeah, I mean, I was not interested at all. When it came out, it just looked like, because I'm pretty much over superhero movies anyway, even though I still tried to watch them from time to time. But it was surprisingly fun.
And it's 2 hours and 5 minutes. I apologize. And
watch out, The Rock's going to come up and correct you.
Okay. Maybe I'll give it a watch one of these days.
All right. Well, I think that is pretty much it for the show. Thank you, everyone who showed up in the live chats, and anyone else who is listening after the fact. Thank you for staying subscribed and supporting Obscurity Now. Anything else to add, Yahel, before we sign off here?
No, I'm ready to go.
All right. Well, join us next Sunday as we'll be watching a non-Robocop related Christmas something or other. We are going to figure it out as soon as we sign off here. So we will see you next Sunday as we continue to unearth more obscure media only on Obscurity Now. See ya.
You've been enjoying Obscurity Now, a podcast that's recorded live to tape and streamed to Twitch and YouTube. Subscribe so you never miss an episode or hilarious quip. Take us with you by following the download links provided in the show notes to wherever you get podcasts. And take notice of our various social media links. If that's what you're into, I'm not here to judge. And make sure you join us live next week at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific as we continue to discuss more obscure media only on Obscurity Now.